Welcome everybody to our first meeting of 2024. How about that? Thank you all for coming in this undependable weather, from snow to rain to back to maybe more rain, back to maybe more snow. We're going to be in that cycle. It's winter time. But thank you for coming this evening, and especially coming out during this weather. We have a lot of good things to cover this evening, so with that I'd like to get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, for those that were here last month, should be very familiar with the subject we're going to talk about. So I'd like to make a motion to open a public hearing for the stop signs at South and South Parsonage. And public comment. Second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so not a lot has changed except for, the resolution is pretty much still the same. If you want me to read through it, I will read through it. But the difference is this is no longer a three-way stop, because we tabled that last month, and this is now a four-way stop. So there will be stop signs on every intersection coming through there. As you remember, at the 9th hour with 2 outs and 2 strikes and 3 balls, we got a Hail Mary from DOT last month to be able to allow us to do the four-way stop, which they had objected to before. And their only criteria was that we don't back up traffic onto 308, okay, or on East Market Street. The engineering analysis and the queuing theory that was done supports that theory, all right, but so we're going to do, I'd like to do it. So with that, what this means is we would put a stop sign on South Parsonage Street going north, and an additional stop sign on South Parsonage Street going south. What? You're pointing and talking.
I was talking to Rick.
Oh, okay. And I don't know what you said. So with that, I'd like to open up any public comments. Chris. Name, address, date, birthday, no.
So scared.
Favorite color. Chris Hall, I live on South Parsonage. Thank you for having the second meeting. So 2 quick questions. Are we going to be removing the blinking light? That's the first question. And the second is, will South Parsonage going north to East Market be 2-way or only 1-way?
Okay, to answer your first question, the first thing we will do is turn the electric off to the blinking light, right? So it doesn't eliminate any confusion, and then they'll work through removing the light. Because if you know, it has 2 red lenses and 2 yellow lenses, and they're not convertible, right, to be able to do. So we have to make a determination then on getting an electrician if we want to remove it, or how we're going to move forward with that. But it's easy to disconnect it, so it's no longer a functioning light. The second question is, it remains a one-way from the intersection of South Parsonage to East Market Street. That'll remain a one-way for a while.
Yeah, why is that? Just curious in terms of traffic flow and space, because it seems to me, and certainly the engineering study that we had and the presentation last meeting was really interesting and had a lot of data, but to the common eye, it looks like that section of South Parsonage is as wide as the section south of
It's
South
definitely
Street.
changed since there's no longer a market there that used to be there. The street is wider, but in consultation with our engineering department, that's another full study, and it's actually even more involved in a study than what we did to change the other one, because now we have to bring DOT into the study. That's their request, that if we change that, we have to do a full study. I have no idea how much that's going to cost, in the thousands of dollars to be able to do that, but my suggestion is let's do one thing at a time.
Can I just jump in on that real quick?
Yep.
The reason why is their concern, at least since it's been described to me as part of the comp plan process, is they're concerned about buses being able to turn from East Market onto Parsonage if there's a car waiting at the intersection to go north. So right now, having it one way going south allows the buses to have the turning radius that they need. And DOT would need to study whether or not that's actually the case if we then make that two ways. I have opinions about that, but I'm also not a traffic engineer, so, you know, that's where we are.
I also have an opinion, and I know others share the opinion about, we already know that people avoid our red light. Our only one red light in town. People do everything they can to avoid that red light. They take every shortcut they believe is possible. Today they come up South Parsonage, turn on South Street, then turn on Mulberry, and then head out towards the fairgrounds. We make that a two-way. We're just going to increase that traffic flow through our village streets, which is what people will use. So that's part of the study we would have to do to understand the impact on the other roads if we turn that into a two-way, because I guarantee you they'll use it to bypass the light.
I mean, we are in a situation where one of the accidents that we had was caused because somebody's GPS guided them northbound through that road. And so if that gets opened up both ways, a lot of people are going to get that direction. So, gotta think about that.
Yes, your name, please?
Heather, we live on the corner of North Parsonage and
Yep.
South. And I have to say, not a day goes by that somebody doesn't drive the wrong way on that block. Seriously, it happens multiple times a day. I'm surprised there haven't been more accidents there. And one of my questions is, if it remains one way, I know that there are do not enter signs that face south, but there isn't a sign that says no left turn or no right turn on South Street. So I think sometimes people turn because they see that do not enter sign too late. Like if you're coming up the hill, you see it very clearly. But I think if you're traveling along South Street in either direction, and I think people do it it's a shortcut. There are definitely people who are confused by it, and then there are people who are really familiar with it, and they just ignore the law. And I don't know if there's a way to, it's dangerous, and I don't know if there's a way to put a camera there and ticket people for going the wrong way or
We do.
something.
I will tell you that we have a car there frequently.
Well, I've seen a car there more frequently, but and the other thing is, and I'm sure that the four-way stop will help with this, but, we hear honking because people are so confused by that intersection. I'd say once an hour. It's just amazing. So that will solve part of the problem, but that going the wrong way on that street, maybe a speed bump, but then the buses have to go where the speed bump. I don't know.
So there'll be a lot of signage
So,
going on
great.
if
So
we do this.
one thing that we'll add is that just today the village submitted a grant to the federal government to help build safe routes to school. And one of the items in that is improving that intersection.
Right, with crosswalks.
Well, crosswalks, maybe a raised intersection, so whatever, we're looking at, and I can't say what it is, but that is definitely, and that would involve some sort of construction solution to what's going on there.
So I think the time frame is if, we would need to figure out whether that's going to be a one-way or a two-way, before we start working on that project.
Well, of course, but even temporarily until that study is done, until, it seems like no right turn, no left turn would help.
Yeah. We can use that.
When would the lights actually come out, be taken out, the overhead light? What's
That
flashing?
the blinking light
Yeah.
that's there, that's just a matter of going to once we get the signs up.
No, actually physically.
Oh, I don't know. We'd
Okay.
have to hire an electrician, hire a company to come and do that.
Okay.
I don't know.
My concern is if there's nothing there, right? If there's no flashing light there, I think people tend to look up first. If they see that, it's a traffic light, it looks like a traffic light, you
Right.
tend to see that before you see the street level stop sign. And I just think it's something that we're gonna have to look at.
I agree, but first step is to just turn it off
Yeah,
completely.
no, of course,
And then we
yeah,
have to hire electricians to go up the poles and remove it.
right.
And technically, actually, when someone like New York State traffic laws, when someone encounters a light that's not working, you're required to treat it like a stop sign. So,
That's true,
so,
but
you know.
I do think it's gonna.
Oh, I know
Yeah.
people break traffic laws all the time,
Right.
but, you know, at least it won't be getting in the way of this effort.
Right.
Yes,
Yes,
Kathy Bonaminsky, you want to know where I live?
sure.
Okay, no one really cares, the woods. But I know there are some studies about traffic patterns, and the emphasis that I've read is to keep people looking at street level.
Right.
That's where you're going to see the kids walking and the bicyclists biking. So to have, this split attention up and down, I think there have to be some studies somewhere, but from what I've read, it's a bad idea.
There's no doubt, Kathy, we have to remove it. The question was, when were we gonna remove
Oh, I
it?
thought the suggestion was to keep it.
No.
Oh, no.
No, his
I
request was
said
to
the
remove it.
absolute opposite.
Yeah,
I think it needs to be removed.
yeah.
Because I agree with you, I think it's gonna cause confusion. And again, I think most people look, if something is up, they're gonna see that first, and then they're gonna say, oh, okay, what's going on here? And then they'll look down. That's just my view.
Chris?
If there isn't significant opposition tonight, then I would assume this would pass, and what's the timeline to then create the four-way
So
stop?
just to get the signs, it's approximately 3 to 4 weeks to order the signs. What engineering has requested is that we get oversized stop signs. So it's nothing that we have. And then we gotta put up not only oversized stop signs, but we need to put warning signs up that warn people that there's a new stop, there's a new traffic change. Then we're gonna get the communication out to the schools and through us, communicate that there's a change in traffic flow here. And then we're gonna use our message board. I'm gonna say nothing until at least the 1st of February at the earliest to get the equipment.
Thank you.
I saw Eric raise his hand first.
Yeah, Eric Steinman. Can you just give me an idea of what the warning signs will be and where they'll be positioned?
No, I don't. I
don't
gotta
know.
work with the traffic engineer.
Okay.
They'll be before the stop signs, how's that?
On both sides, at North and South
On
Parsonage?
all four
All four,
sides.
okay.
Engineering
All
has
four.
requested all 4 sides.
Okay.
No.
Leonard Navarez, I live on Norwood, and I'm in total support of the four-way stop, and I recognize 2 things, done at different times. I would like the village to put it on the to-do list to pursue the study of turning the one-way into two-way, because, from where I'm at, I see those people coming through all the time, and it's my bête noire of the traffic in Rhinebeck, more than the jaywalkers at the stoplight, so I just, wherever the money can be found and the time is ready and there's federal grants, I think the stop sign's gonna make a major improvement, but, just the rationality of that block remains less than perfect, so long as there's one little piece of one way.
Silence. Hearing silence, I'm gonna make a motion to close the public comment section.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Second.
I'd like to make a motion to approve village law of Rhinebeck local law number 1 of 2024, the vehicle and traffic regulation amendments for the additional section in 109-42 to schedule the stop signs at the intersection of South Parsonage Street going north and south.
Second.
We're gonna pass it. We're gonna vote.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Don, say yay. Okay, thank you.
Good start.
Public comment section.
After running
We're
start.
ready for public comment. Does anybody have an additional public comment? Kathleen, name, address. Thank you.
Kathleen Evans, Somers Drive in Rhinebeck. And since we're on the topic of traffic signs, it's just a little thing, it's the beginning of the year, it's a little housekeeping, and I know it has nothing to do with the village of Rhinebeck, but I believe the DOT. Is there someone who can call, I believe, the DOT and have them remove the Mill Street detour sign that is still on South Street?
Right, it is.
Just to tidy that up a little bit.
Thank you for reminding me, I'll do that.
Thank you very much.
I can't guarantee it'll be done, but
Thank you.
I can make the call. You're
Happy
absolutely
New
right.
Year. Thank you.
Good point. I've seen that. Yeah.
I know,
Falls in
right?
the background. That's fine.
Good night. Good night, thanks for coming.
Any other public comments? Any additional public comments? Susan?
I have a question. Suzanne Andresi.
Name?
I said it.
Yeah, I didn't hear you. You said I have a question.
Lorenzi Manor Road.
Oh, I didn't, sorry, I missed.
I was just wondering if we could be updated. I was somewhere recently where they had those public water fountains, and I know that that was the project that the middle schoolers did.
Yep, yeah.
Is there an update on that?
Very good question. So we ran into significant delays this year because of like 38 weekends in a row of back-to-back rainstorms, which made the area where we were putting the fountain that the kids did such a great job, the civics class raised the money for. We have the fountain. It's sitting back here in the shed. We have the sign to denote that who put the effort in to do it. But we were delayed in actually putting it because of all the wet weather. Last week, Tuesday of last week, we actually did the tap to the water main. So that's a physical thing to connect to a live water main. The company came in and did that tap. If you'll see an area where, when you walk by the mini park, it's kind of fenced off right now and there's like hay over it. So that's where we tapped into the water main, and then we'll go from there to putting in the water fountain as soon as weather permits. Good question, thank you. Yep. In process. All right, I'm going to close the public comment section. We are now ready for our treasurer, CFO, Karen McLaughlin, to give us an update on our budget.
Yay, Karen.
Hello, thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Board, and I wish everyone a healthy and happy 2024. We certainly have had our challenges as well as our successes this year. In addition to reviewing the budget, to actual statistics, we will dive into capital projects, grants, and future funding needs and sources. First, a review of the first half of the fiscal year, which is from June 1st to December 31st. This year's charge has been adaptability. This remains relevant to achieve our budget goals and financial objectives. So our first graph here is our payroll budget to actual spend. There are 26 pay periods, and this chart represents 15 pay periods, or 58%. There's 42% remaining for this fiscal year, and remaining in each department, the general administrative is 38%, planning, building, zoning 39%, police 32%, court 38%, highway 49%, and water sewer 48%. General administrative, planning, building, zoning, and court departments are slightly under the percentage required to stay within the assigned budget, but with 6 months to go and careful monitoring, they can stay within their budgets. The police department is of most concern for staying within their budget. Hiring new officers has been a challenge, and that has required their staff to work overtime, and they will need to carefully assess the rest of their fiscal year. As always, it is important to understand that there is still much winter to go in terms of snow removal, plowing, street maintenance, and spring cleanup. So the rest of the departments are very close, which means that until May 31st of 2024. Scheduled shifts and overtime must be monitored closely and kept to a minimum. Okay, moving on to revenue.
You want the other?
The chart. Yep. Okay, so this chart shows revenue received at the 6-month mark. Village taxes always look good as we receive them upfront in June. We are made whole in April by the county. Unpaid taxes in November are sent to Dutchess County for re-levy. In terms of revenue, we look at analyzing trends, conservative forecasting, and making the best estimates. The fire contract from the town of Rhinebeck for fire protection is paid in February, so you can see we haven't received anything in that line. The planning, building, and zoning fees are up as building, planning, and zoning activity in the village remains strong. Other revenues include cell tower rental, cable franchise fee, and departmental income. Interest earnings have exceeded their budget, their line item budgets, and our securities and investments are yielding much higher interest earnings at this time. So our next two charts I'll talk about together, but one is the water fund and the sewer fund. So the green is the budget, and then the blue line is the revenues received to date. So we upgraded the meter reader software and software this time last year. We're currently changing out old unsupported meters for new ones, as some of you probably know and have had them replaced so far. This upgrade, along with quarterly staggered billing, standardized to the same quarterly billing period, has both increased our efficiency and accuracy. We are on track for both water and sewer funds to reach the anticipated budgets by the end of the year. Again, in both of these funds, interest earnings as what have exceeded their budgets, and our New York class investment pools are earning a little over 5% compounded daily. So that's really helped our revenue picture. So now we'll take a look at all of the funds. So in this chart, the gray line is the revenues, the orange line is the expenditures, and then the blue line on the bottom is the annual budget. Water and sewer appear even overall. However, the water fund, there are a few over budget and near over budget line items due to water main breaks, valve replacements, and increased cost of chemicals and lab supplies. This year so far, we have purchased $44,850 in new meters for replacements. Similarly, in the sewer fund, there has been increases in the cost of chemicals, equipment, and sludge hauling. The general fund has expended 57% of its budget. The attorney line item has only 28% remaining, and the engineer line item is over budget by $4,546. Insurance, both general liability, workers' comp, will be slightly over budget due to increases announced after the budget was set for this fiscal year last year. The cost of blacktop, of the blacktop ton has increased from $67 a ton to $120 a ton. And this, combined with the increased cost of fuel, equipment, and the rates of pay for contractors, has caused every aspect of a project to increase. So if we scroll down a little bit more, we'll get to the analysis of the fund balance. So in the water fund, I'll just go through it. The 22-23 fund balance was at the end of the last fiscal year. So we took out the reserve, the assigned reserve, and then of $366,618. We also are making the assumption that we are going to retain 25% of our investments in securities. That brings us to the unassigned fund balance. So we go from the $456,453 unassigned fund balance, and then this year we appropriated $220,000 for the Center Street water line and paving project. We added our year-to-date revenue and took out our expenditures so far, which is leaving us an estimated fund balance of $204,297. This seems low. However, in the water fund, we have just completed 2 years ago, we completed the water main replacement project, and we have a water plant improvement project going on at this time. So it's a very active fund, and we are working on improvements. So if you scroll a little bit more, the sewer fund, I won't go through all of them, but if we go down, we have an estimated fund balance of this 684, 607. It's higher, but we also have 300,000 in that we were going to use towards a wastewater treatment plant project. So in the general fund, again, same scenario. We take our fund balance, we take out our reserve, we protect 25% of our investments, and we have an estimated fund balance of $1,143,428. It sounds like a lot, however, taxes are uploaded in the front and we'll be drawing down with that. And I always stress and point out that the year-to-date revenues and expenditures bring us through December 31st. These numbers will change monthly and bi-weekly as expenses get paid and revenue is received. I also thought it was important to go through this next section here. I thought it was important to talk about our fund balance policy. And it's worth reading. So it is the goal of the village to achieve and maintain an unassigned fund balance in the general fund at the fiscal year end, ranging from 15 to 25% of the subsequent year's budgeted expenditures. The minimum fund balance is to protect against cash flow shortfalls relating to timing, projected revenue receipts, and to maintain a budget stabilization commitment. This also goes into play with a lot of our grants that we have matching, we have to match, or the village has to pay for them first and then be reimbursed for them. So we do need to create a good fund balance so we have some working capital. Replenishing deficiencies: when the fund balance falls below the 15% range, the village will replenish the shortages, and the village board will reduce expenditures, increase revenues, a combination of two, or take a really good look at where we are and make a plan. Conversely, should the unassigned fund balance exceed the 25%, the village will consider such fund balance as surplus for a one-time expenditure that are not recurring in nature, in which will not require additional future expense outlays or maintenance or additional staffing or recurring expenditures. So I just took the budget from 23-24, the $2,836,498, and I took 15% of that for $425,000 and 25%, which kind of lets you see what range we're looking to stay within at the end of the fiscal year. In addition to mindful spending, the board actively seeks grants and funding. This list is an update of the capital project grant activity. The water system upgrade, the village board authorized $6.5 million bond for the water system improvement, of which a bond anticipation note in the amount of $425,000 is currently being drawn down on for engineering and design. This will consist of a grant and a low-interest, long-term New York State EFC loan. The wastewater treatment plant and sewer upgrade, the village board also authorized a $5.5 million bond for wastewater treatment plant and sewer upgrades. We did not receive this grant. We currently have a bond anticipation note out on this in the amount of $325,000, of which $106,000 has already been spent on engineering and design. So the board will determine what to focus on for the balance of this loan and how to move forward and reapply or get these much needed projects done. The comprehensive plan, Trustee Slavey has secured a $10,000 grant from Hudson Valley Greenway and another $10,000 from the Thompson Trust. She is working on a CFA Smart Growth grant for $100,000 for the village comprehensive plan. trees. Deputy Mayor Lewitt has worked with the Frost Foundation to receive $35,000 for tree removal and replacement of trees in the village right-of-way, and there's a balance of about $11,000 in that. Sorry I'm talking fast, I have a lot of information, and I just to let you know how hard this board does work to secure funding and to get things done in the village. Center Street, the water line, was installed with funds from ARPA, from the water fund, and then this spring we will be doing the paving, and that will be completed with New York State CHIPS fund that we expend, and then we're reimbursed by the state. The compost facility, Trustee Bertozzi secured a New York State DEC grant for $200,000 to provide an alternate site, and I'm sure each trustee will go through their updates on where they're at in each of these projects. EV community campaign, Trustee Bertozzi also received a grant for $5,000, and we'll talk about where we're going to spend that. The Village Hall HVAC Flex Tech grant, the energy study of the Village Hall Firehouse was completed in 2022. We received a 50-50 matching grant from NYSERDA through the Flex Tech program. We budgeted for the hazmat study, which has also been completed. We also budgeted for the next phase of this project, a design and engineering phase with M&E Engineering. They delivered a draft in the fall of 2023. The big picture is the estimate for their draft report, including hazmat, to be about $900,000. As this exceeds what was anticipated and with changes, that plan is to bring that cost way down. The Dutchess County Community Development Block Grant, we received $150,000 to replace the sidewalks at the corners of Center Street and East Market with handicap accessible ramps, as well as the sidewalk in front of the firehouse, the Village Hall and the firehouse. The project is in the design stage. The Dutchess County MIG grant, we received $147,000 for a new ramp to the fire station and a new fire rescue UTV, commercial washer dryer, and a new lights. We got 6 AEDs with that. The fire equipment has been received, and the ramp will be done in conjunction with the sidewalk project when we do that. The technology grant, recently we received a $26,000 grant to upgrade the sound system for all village meetings and new desktops, workstations, and to upgrade to Windows 11. The TAP grant, this grant will provide sidewalks and safe routes to school. The grant is for $2 million, with the village's share will be approximately $400,000. And if received, expenses will commence on January of 2025. Greenway grant for rehabilitation of sidewalks, bike routes through Rhinebeck and Red Hook. We have pledged $6,000 for our part on this joint grant venture. New York State DEC, the fire department was just awarded $2,500 matching grant for 6 new chainsaws for wildland firefighting equipment.
Karen, I think you missed the autism support community one.
Oh, did I miss that? Sorry, the autism awareness, we received a matching grant of $20,000 for autism awareness, and the autism committee itself raised those matching grants. So this board remains very busy securing grants and moving forward with items that support, sustain, and promote the Village of Rhinebeck. The next budget season, 2024, will be incredibly challenging, as we already have been notified of increases in the retirement annual report, health insurance, equipment, services. Some of the above mentioned grants require a financial commitment from the village, so the board will need to evaluate and prioritize all grants that require a village share or initial outlay of cash to determine what's going to fit the budget. So the board and staff are committed to the future growth and prosperity of the Village of Rhinebeck, and I thank you. If you have any questions, I can certainly try to answer them for you.
So Karen,
Yes.
like we've done before, we're at that time of the year where we need to seriously consider how we're moving forward to meet our budget. We're not like where we can go out and sell more widgets to bring in more revenue, right?
Correct.
So we either satisfy it with getting grant money or we live with the have. So at this time, I think it's very prudent for us to put in a tracking program for our expenses going forward for the remainder of the year. You and I have spoken about this, and I've mentioned this to the board as well, where that we should start managing expenses as they're coming in, which we do already, but put in additional controls where if it's an expenditure above $250, it needs to be approved before it's purchased. Today, we don't do that. So it puts another level of control to say, you know, let's make sure we need this before we move forward.
To be clear, we currently approve things, what, over $2,000?
Yes.
Yeah, so
saying
it's between 250 and 2,000.
250 for the
Right,
board to approve?
I think
No,
more
it would
so.
not be the board,
I
so.
think more so than the procurement policy, this
Yeah.
is more of an internal policy going towards the rest of the year to make sure that there's money in that line item for it.
It
So-
doesn't require a resolution for us to do. We
Who's
can.
making the approval?
So what Karen and I discussed was the approval. Chrissy does a good job. Chrissy manages the bills coming in for us and pulls together the vouchers. She has an idea of what if, let's just say, I'll pick on Highway. Highway wants to spend, you don't have control over that anymore. So if Highway wants to spend $500 to buy a new chainsaw, right? It's above the $250 limit, they would go to Chrissy, and Chrissy would say, well, you know, you have enough money in the budget, right? But given where you're at, this would require an additional review. They would then go to Karen, who has the much broader picture, and say, here's what I know is coming down for the highway department in terms of salaries and other expenses, in terms of where it actually would be. And so Chrissy would say, is there enough? Yes. Karen would say, looking at the big picture, yes, we're okay to approve, and that's how it would come up through the pipe. And then it would go into our voucher supply system once the two of them sign off on it. Does not require board approval, unless you want it. You want to approve every expense?
250 is too low.
Yeah.
I think timing-wise, also, we're going into our budget season, so we are going to be talking with the department heads, and we are going to be going through the current budget as well as what they're projecting for next year's budget. So I think, again, you're right, Gary, we do need to kind of keep.
It's just to be prudent
ahead
on where we are.
Yeah.
You know, we've had some very high months of expenditures, which kind of is expected when you're in this kind of line, when you're in this business and things break and you need to replace them and or fix them. But sometimes we may say, listen, we can hold off on doing a repair, right? If we don't
Borrow a
have to.
chainsaw from sewer until you figure this out, right? Yeah.
Pardon?
Borrow a chainsaw from sewer until we can figure
Yeah,
this out.
Right.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
No,
So
I agree.
we'll send that letter out to all, this will be all departments, not just limited to highway. It'll be all departments, you know, to say that it comes in, and if they happen to buy something, it gets returned. It doesn't, we don't automatically say you bought it, we're gonna keep it. It goes back,
Great.
right? So we've done this before. Our our superintendent of public works will be reviewing most of those receipts coming forward, and he'll make sure that it's in, you know, a kind of first review. It'll go to Chrissy, then go to Karen, and then it'll go to the vouchers for us to approve if it's approved by the end of the month. Make sense?
Perfect. Sounds good.
Okay? So let's give us a control going forward. You know, Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Karen.
It's kind of nice that we get all of our tax revenue at the beginning of the year, then we can earn interest on it while we spend it down.
Yes, we can. And we do.
And we do.
And New York class, yes.
Yeah.
So Karen, I'm going to keep you on the hot seat with your treasurer's report. Well,
Okay.
first let me ask the public, any questions from you all here on the budget? You know, we try to give routine updates in terms of the budget and where we are. Jesse.
Debbie.
Debbie, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just have a quick question. It's such a small question. But how is it decided which sidewalks get to be fixed?
So, good question. As you understand, sidewalks are the responsibility of the adjacent landowner.
Okay,
It's their responsibility to maintain, update, and keep their sidewalks in good condition.
okay,
If they're not, and we get notified of it, or we're aware of it, our zoning enforcement officer then makes a visit and tells the homeowner to fix it. We do not fix the sidewalk.
so only public, the sidewalks of public?
So
buildings?
the public sidewalks in front of this grant that we got was because these are public sidewalks in municipality, which we got a grant from the county for to
I
replace.
see. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people don't understand, and, a lot of people would prefer somebody else fix the sidewalks as well. Right? Now, while we're on sidewalks, and it is winter time, we sent out a notice. It is the homeowner's responsibility within 24 hours to clear their sidewalks in front of their home. So we actively monitor that. We really care about being able to walk within the village and have clear sidewalks to be able to do. So, please help us spread the word. Yes.
Hi, Eve Ashcraft, I live on South Street. We're on the corner of South and Parsonage, and we've done a lot of work actually to level out our sidewalks because we have the old slabs and you know how they go like this. But
Thank you.
You're welcome. At the corner where we're all talking about the stop signs, it's pretty degraded there, and it's also low, so it fills with water. And we haven't done anything there because we didn't know really what the outcome would be as that intersection gets dealt with. In other words, like why, we didn't want to put all the expense and time in only to find out like we'd sort of done it wrong if there,
Or it's going to be torn up.
if there's going to be a curb or anything. So, we're happy to find out what the plan is for that and respond accordingly to whatever our responsibility is. But also, we don't really know if anything will be modified in terms of the physical configuration there, whether there'll be curbs, curb breaks, or anything.
So are we.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do anticipate that it would be ADA compliant,
Mhm.
so that would probably include the little bumpies, you know? Yeah, the tactile. But
So
yeah,
that all
that's,
really will be reconfigured.
Yes.
That's part of the plan.
It's incredibly unlikely that it will involve curbs, though. There's not a lot of roads in the village that have curbs.
Exactly.
Because we don't have a drainage system for it, and so basically, the fact that we don't have curbs allows water to drain into the grass, which solves the problem. So, any kind of leveling work that you do will probably be, it'll be great. And also, if we get the grant, nothing will happen until at least 2025.
Okay.
So, if it ends up turning into concrete and ADA and blah, 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 and who what's, then, you're always welcome to pull up any bluestone that you put down and keep it. It's sort of like, it can be a little bit of a dance, I would imagine. But considering the timing of this, if you are considering doing something, I would encourage you to do it.
Actually.
Because it would be great to have that corner functional, at least, until the grant, until the work starts.
I think I'd wait till I find out if we get it or not. Because I'd hate to see them invest a lot of money and then have to rip it all
I
out.
mean, fortunately, it's fairly level.
It's
not
walkable
like
now,
too
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
rocky, but it's.
They're not going to put in
it's
ADA compliant.
Right.
Right.
They're-
They're thinking about it.
Thank you for doing the section that you did.
They're going to make the, Rick, I disagree with you, because the existing sidewalk is their responsibility. And it should be maintained as you're doing.
As you're doing.
And thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you should make that investment to make the sidewalk as usable as possible and not a hazard for anybody, and you should continue to do that,
Great.
right?
And thank you for that work.
I got a notice, I don't know, it's probably a couple of years ago now, that I had some uneven sidewalks that needed to be taken care of,
Yeah.
which I did. But I do a lot of walking around the village, and there are sidewalks that were way worse than mine.
And we're working with a lot of them.
Okay, I just didn't know, I mean, I didn't see them getting notices, or I have no idea, but I know.
As you can imagine, some people when they get a notice, don't do what the notice asks them to do. And so I wouldn't assume that folks who haven't fixed their sidewalk are not, have not been approached by the village.
In some cases, it's a church, or it's not just
Including,
residential.
including the
churches.
church,
Yeah.
including businesses downtown,
Yeah.
including all of them. As you can tell probably from that grant, you know, it's gonna cost $150,000 to fix this
Yeah,
corner.
it's very expensive.
It's really, I mean, and I appreciate that it's, I'm a homeowner as well, right? It's really expensive for all of us, and you know, the village has a budget of $2.8 million, right? So there's only so much that we can all do as part of this dance.
I have one more question, one more sidewalk question. You know, it surprises me that the Beekman has asphalt sidewalks.
So
Asphalt
asphalt is an allowed.
It's an allowed use.
It's allowed
is?
use.
Okay.
So this was
Why?
done in 2009, 10, 11, whenever the zoning code changed
Around there.
around then, because the most expensive is bluestone. It is also the most preferred, at least in the historic district. The one right underneath it is poured concrete, the sort of white, yellow, gray concrete. And asphalt is a significantly cheaper option, and the village board at the time made the decision that they didn't want people to not maintain their sidewalks because they were being requested to do it with the material that's expensive. Asphalt is cheaper. There are a lot of concerns, mostly aesthetic, around why that's a bummer. And this is part of what the comp plan actually has been thinking about in some respects, is at least how to encourage slightly more aesthetically pleasing materials for sidewalks.
I mean, would the asphalt option be revisited as possibly
It
not
would.
an option?
It would.
It may be.
It may be.
It may be.
So, you
as part of the
know,
comp
once the
plan
comp
discussion.
plan is complete, we will then have to evaluate our entire zoning code to make sure that the zoning code reflects new values as espoused in the comp plan. And so you can imagine that anything in the zoning code will be examined. Whether or not it will be changed is a question we don't know the answer to yet. But the entire zoning code will be examined. And as part of that, just to make this even more complicated, but there's new ways of thinking about traffic and walking and all the rest of it, is that in previous iterations of design, cars have always been prioritized over pedestrians. In the last 20 years, that is shifting. 30 years, really, that's shifting. And so I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of the newer sidewalks that are coming in, as they cross driveways, the sidewalk is actually in a different material than the driveway. And so one of the things that's actually very confusing when the sidewalk and the driveway is all asphalt is you don't know where the sidewalk is versus where the driveway is. And it's turning into an important design feature for pedestrian safety to have the sidewalk be a different material, cross the driveway so that pedestrian safety is always prioritized. And so one of the questions there is if we do continue to include asphalt as an appropriate sidewalk material, that's another question that we would have to sort of figure out, how to make sure that we identify that the pedestrian part of the driveway is different than the driving part of the driveway. So there's also that. That's way too much information, but I love this stuff.
Are you done? Are you done?
Never!
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're gonna move on. So next on the agenda is purchase request. The first purchase request. Treasurer's report. Oh, I
Sorry,
forgot, I'm
Karen.
sorry. I had crossed this off, but Lydia kept talking too long.
I
That's right, I will be quick. Vouchers presented for payment in the general fund total $73,188.87. In the water fund, $63,332.42. In the sewer fund, $32,052.44. And we've had a few bills from escrow in the amount of $7,064.29. The water system improvement project had bills totaling $10,988.54. And in the wastewater treatment plant and sewer upgrade project, $19,365. So I just need a
I'd
motion.
like to make a motion to approve.
Second,
What?
Any discussion?
Pay the bills.
the vouchers.
The vouchers.
Pay the bills. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, a monthly operating statement is provided with revenues and expenditures through January 9th, and that is up in the cloud. As I mentioned in my report, budget 24-25 season is coming up, and we will be scheduling budget meetings. I gave a few dates just for the board to start thinking about their schedules, trying to keep them on the Tuesday, Thursday schedule. With the capital projects, grants, vehicle, and equipment purchases being the first meeting, because I think it's important to get those big purchases discussed before we go in and before we go into each individual department. Then we'll do water and sewer, police and fire, we'll do highway, environmental and general, and then we'll do a total budget, and hopefully you'll all be ready for the April meeting, public hearing on the budget. Water and sewer billing adjustments have been signed off by Mayor Bassett and are presented for authorization.
I make a motion to approve
Second.
the adjustments. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and I just have two budget amendments. One is from the capital reserve for the fire to the fire EMS of $13,024 for the ambulance, Stryker ambulance equipment payment 2 of 3. The other one is from the capital water to the equipment fund for the new plow and water meters totaling $21,112.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in fa-
We really need the new plow?
Yeah, it went on to the new truck,
Oh, it was part of outfitting the new
the
truck.
water truck.
In the water, that was in the water department.
So that was in the agreement when we purchased the truck.
That's it, that's
Should
all I
we,
have.
should we hold off on installing more water meters
No.
until next year, or is this
I
something that
don't
really
think
needs to
so, because we had talked about, last year we had talked about contracting out to do all of them. And we had I don't know, over 100 touch pads that need to be changed to radio reads. And Tom from the water department has just been kind of working on them while he's doing all the other water stuff.
Yeah, like he drove by me when I was working my gardens and he just stopped and did it then.
Yeah, so,
Because he saw me standing
so
there.
he's
Yeah.
really being proactive, and I think if we need to pull money from the reserve, we'll do it, but I think while we're on, and it goes hand in hand with the accuracy of the billing. So I think we should just keep moving forward.
That's what I was
with it.
going to mention. You and Dean, when we first started putting this in, we had, I don't know, 100 discrepancies. We're down now to maybe a dozen discrepancies in terms of our billing account. So it's really cleared up a lot of issues that we've had. So it's been not only efficiency improvement in terms of our operators trying to read the meters, but also, as Karen mentioned, an accuracy improvement which benefits you and also could benefit us. So it worked both ways. There were several that we were incorrectly billing the customer that have been corrected as well. So it's been something we've been working on for how long?
Long time.
Long time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to approve, I think we had
The budget.
the budget.
You already did.
We just need to vote on it.
You already did.
Oh.
We're just good.
Second?
You already
Did
did.
we?
Yeah, we did that. We
All,
were-
we're at the point of all in favor?
Yes, sir. That's
All in
right.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Now I'm done.
Thank you, Karen.
Oh, no, you're not, Karen.
Oh,
I'm gonna keep you here.
One more.
I want you to talk about the lease purchase of the 2 copiers, please.
Okay, so the planning, building, and zoning department, they're kind of spearheading the Laserfish program and scanning in documents and organizing those. So they need a copier printer scanner that's bigger than the desktop one that they have. Our copiers, printer and scanner downstairs in the village hall comes up in April. So we went out and looked at 2, and I wanted to make sure that they were kind of compatible, that we would get what we needed for downstairs. So we went out, Ryan obtained 3 quotes, and Advanced Technology came in at $154.94 for each machine for 60-month lease, which is the standard lease on those. So my recommendation would be to award it to Advanced Office Technology at $154 a month.
And this is less than what we're currently paying.
And we're currently paying,
It was like 290 or something, wasn't
yeah.
it? So it's a little bit more.
254. Like,
254?
Yeah, don't have it right in front of me.
So it's like $50 more
It's $50 more then,
For 2
for
machines.
2 now.
for 2 machines.
But we're
Versus
getting
what?
2.
Yes.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
Sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, so,
I make a motion to approve the purchase of the lease copiers for building, planning, and zoning, and or replace the one downstairs.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, John. Discussion?
Yeah, is that 154, I noticed that planning, building and zoning was one of the ones that we need to watch carefully.
so we're gonna start it April 1st, so we'll only have we'll only have 2 months
And
in this
that's-
current fiscal year.
And that works for
Yes.
their budget? Okay, great.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the next purchase request is an end of life of our shared server with the town of Rhinebeck. And if I just remind everybody, we don't have a server complex here in the building. We, for many years now, have had a shared server complex with the town of Rhinebeck. And, that server's partitioned to serve both of us. In October of last year, it reached end of life, which doesn't mean it's dead or anything's wrong with it, just means it's out of warranty, right? And in addition to the end of life of that, PCA is recommending that we also upgrade our firewall to a new standard, which is coming on board. And with that comes a new switch. So it's a server, a switch, and a firewall. The total cost of this is $14,000, let me go down to the bottom here. $14,417, of which a little bit slightly less than half of that is our expense. So we're gonna be around $7,000 if we do this. Just to put everything out on the table, the town has not approved this yet. The town is also sitting on waiting to see what they wanna do. So the motion I would like to make is that we only approve this pending, obviously, that the town approves this and goes forward jointly to be able to do this in the cycle.
Can I amend that resolution?
Sure. Depends.
Right, yeah. I'm gonna offer an amendment to that resolution. A, dependent on the town approving it, but B, can we also have it effective June?
Yeah, I don't know why not. It's just a
firewall that
it's
service
This is
expires
a
3,
quote
4.
from PC.
Yeah, yeah.
Rick, what?
Wait.
If you look at the note, our firewall services expire on 3/4,
Oh, so we can't extend it to
Well-
June, it has to be done in March,
or have to,
I
or
don't
have
think
to come up with
a different solution.
different, or.
the service expires.
How are we slightly less than half, given the fact that we're like a quarter of the size of the town?
So it's based on desktops. We add up the number of desktops that each unit has, the town has, we had, and divide by that share, by that percentage.
Because of
So
the
we
police
were
or
like
something?
48% last time.
How is
So,
that possible?
Yeah.
There's so many
We
more
have a lot of
people.
desktops. Everybody has one.
I know, but
So it's less than half, which is what I said, and I don't have that exact calculation because I just haven't done it.
I get that.
We do have the money available to do this in one of our line items, which we had set aside for miscellaneous expenditures of up to $7,000. Actually, it was supposed to be used for purchase of Meridian barricades, but we got the grant for the Meridian barricades for $85,000, so it's also, we could use it for that if it deemed necessary.
What's the town's timeframe?
I can't answer that question.
Okay.
But
All right,
we
well
would,
then I withdraw my amendment because of this firewall issue.
Well, could the firewall be extended?
good question. Can ask. I mean, can we buy a new service contract? Probably.
Whatever makes the most sense, obviously. I mean,
I would like-
I get it.
Thinking about the grand scheme of things here.
Yeah,
If everything comes out and works towards, we're getting fiber into our server over there,
right.
that server has a limitation that can't handle asynchronous 1 gigabit. It's not the server, the firewall. So what we would have to do, if we want to get the increased bandwidth, is buy into a new firewall at that time anyways.
Got it.
So part of this is to think about how can we get the latest technology in a firewall to handle the new service coming in,
And
which
this,
PCA is aware of that.
this quote that PCA gave us takes into account this
We're,
upgrade
yeah,
that.
we're never going to get up to 1 gigabit, because we, you know,
Did you work at IBM?
no.
No.
Yes, the problem with getting to 1 gigabit, the equipment comes more than triple the cost. So we're limited at like 600 up and 300 down right now. I mean, or the opposite. The up speed is
300 up,
300 up and 600 down.
Yep.
This will get us up to doubling that speed if we go forward, a new firewall.
Well, that's good, because that's what the police need. Are they on this, or are they on their
No,
own?
they're on their own. That
Okay.
just serves us.
Okay.
We still have a bandwidth problem. If we get enough people on
Yeah,
devices over here, we know we can choke it.
Yeah.
And we do.
right.
So,
Yeah, I don't think it's worth delaying. I think when they pass, we should go ahead.
Fair enough, I'm just aware of the budget.
No, it's good, it's a good,
I
it's a
appreciate
good flag.
awareness.
We should have the full discussion on everything and then figure
Absolutely.
it out.
No, absolutely. I'm not, and we should only do this, as I mentioned, if
Right.
Yeah.
the town is gonna, we can't do it without it.
Right. Well, we don't want to, well, go.
But the fact that we're now meeting twice a month, we should sit on it to the town to- if there's no point, if we're gonna have to do it in this fiscal year, then we might as well do it.
We can delay it until we hear the town. We can just put this on,
Don't make it overly complicated.
I responding to your question.
We started it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the quote pending the town approval.
Second.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. All right. Okay. We have a very important subject to talk about next. And the important subject that we want to talk about next is, you heard the presentation on our budget. So in regard, and you heard the fact that we're going to now start the budget season for the 24-25 budget season. A lot of municipalities preemptively pass a resolution just to, on the aspect that there would be a possibility that the tax cap would have to be overridden. We are not predicting that we're going to override the tax cap. What we are telling you in this resolution that we're bringing forward today is to say that there's a two-step process. The first step of the process is to have a resolution to be able to allow us to proceed to the next step, should that case be needed, that we need to override the state's level of 2%. We anticipate that this year, after 3 years of inflation and 3 years the state setting it at 2%, we expect that that'll still be 2% this year. But until we go through the budget process and figure out where we are when we go through the budget in terms of expenditures, we don't know, right? We know, as you've heard from Karen, that retirement has gone up. We know the salaries are going to go up. We know that benefit costs are going to go up. And we've done a good job for quite a long time of maintaining to be under that tax cap. But there's been significant growth. As you heard, Blacktop now is double what it was before. So we're going to look at that when we go through the budget. So this is just a preemptive move and a very prudent move to say, can we set the stage so if we have to? Because the next stage is we need to go into a public hearing to override to do this. So at that point, we will have sufficient information on the budget to be able to say we anticipate or we don't anticipate. Because a major factor that comes into that is our assessments. We get the assessed evaluations from the county, and we don't get them until March. And so we're going to know kind of where we're going on a budget and our expenditures in that time frame. We'll get their assessed evaluation and we'll kind of know where we are. So what I'd like to do is just as a preemptive measure, and that's really all it is to say, pass a tax cap override for, this would be law number 2 for the year 2024, and a local law to override the tax levy limit established in the general municipal law to set the stage for our budget negotiations. And that's really all it is. As I said, a lot of municipalities do this at their annual organization meeting just to take care of this procedural step, and it's just a procedural step. So I have a second first.
I will second.
Second, Rick.
What's the
Now we can
actual
go into
motion?
discussion.
What's the actual motion?
The motion is to approve Village of Rhinebeck local law number 2 for local law to override the tax levy limit in the general municipal law.
That doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's to adopt this law that we may or may not end up using once we've actually looked at the
Correct.
budget.
right.
To set, and
Okay,
to set the public hearing.
And it's okay, so we have to adopt this law before any of this other stuff happens.
You have to adopt the law before you have the public hearing, yes.
Okay,
And we're doing it ahead of the schedule because we're going to start.
Without having a public hearing.
What?
yeah, that's what I'm confused about. How do we adopt this law without having a public hearing about it first?
So you're not, by state of law, you're not required to do this. You're required to pass the resolution first, then.
So we're required to pass the law first and then have the public hearing
Correct.
afterward once we actually know the numbers?
By state law.
If we,
So this is just sort of like a backwards,
So it is being filed though as a local law.
Correct. Because it's a resolution.
Well, that's where the confusion is, because he
Right.
said
No, I
that it needs to be
think-
done before.
You're doing the resolution to say, hey, we're looking at overriding the tax cap. You'll set the public hearing, and then after the public hearing, then if the local law's approved, then. it'll be
Right, that's the
filed.
normal sequence of
Right.
this, but you
That's
just read to approve this local
What's
law.
the-
You approve the
Well,
resolution.
That's where
we don't have a
well, there is no resolution. That
Well-
was the point Lydia was making in the email earlier.
Yeah, because this doesn't really go to effect until we pass, till we execute. So we need to,
So is this making a motion to introduce this local law?
Yes.
I think that's the right way to do
Okay.
it. Thank you.
Okay.
And then with that comes setting the public hearing
at the March.
in the March meeting. I would like to set the public hearing for the March meeting, if needed.
Okay, so I'm gonna put motion to introduce local law number 2 of 2024 and set public hearing for,
March 12th,
thank you, at
6 PM.
6? Okay.
I know it's confusing, because we've never done this before.
Can I have a second?
Procedure,
I was-
Rick second.
Thank you.
Now we're in discussion. Any other discussion?
No, I just think it's important to note that this allows us and authorizes us to do it. It doesn't necessitate that we do it. And that's the really important point, is that I've seen that get confused by people, that this sets us on a trajectory that we have to do it, and that's not necessarily true.
and we'd like to avoid it.
And I don't want people to assume that we're
I mean, we
saying that
haven't,
we're going to be on the path that we're planning to do it, because we're not.
I think because you have to do it by local law and have the public hearing, you kind of have to have this discussion before.
before we know if we're even gonna do it.
Right.
I think it's
I
prudent.
hate to wait till the last
Like I
minute.
said, there are many.
Thanks, state law, set local leaders up for a beating that they may not actually have to.
Well, I think it's both prudent and transparent to do it this way, quite frankly.
Yeah, well, giving people plenty of notice, but it's also just kind of like, we don't know the numbers yet, and so.
Right.
And quite honestly, I think we should have been NICOM. When I went to NICOM, they're saying, listen, the 2% is there. But it's a tool, and this is a tool for us to use. And they were very adamant about municipalities should just do this, period.
I don't understand why 2% every year doesn't make sense
That's
given the rate
a
of
whole other
inflation.
discussion.
That's-
It's not necessarily 2%.
what it is.
That's the quote, that's the set quote.
It could be set differently. It could be set differently.
Yeah.
You're above our pay grade.
You know, it's interesting, I was actually looking at this information earlier today and driving Karen legitimately bananas. And over the past 10 years, according to the comptroller's office, the cumulative inflation for the last 10 years is 27%. And the allowable increase that municipalities have, at least with our fiscal year schedule, have been allowed to do is 16%. And that's fine, I mean, like, you know, it's our job to be responsible budgeters and all the rest of it, but just when costs are increasing at 27% over 10 years, and we're only allowed to increase taxes by 16% over 10 years, it eventually does put us into a bind. The question here, though, is, you know, during that same 10-year period, at least during the 3 years that I've been on this board, 3.5, you know, we've also been doing a lot more, it feels like, than was done in the past. So it's sort of you know.
Yeah,
Like it's just-
it's a balance.
It's balance, you know, and speaking of sort of the sidewalk conversation we were having earlier, you know, it's just tough when we're trying to provide more services and better services, you know, and it's our job to be responsible with it financially, but it's just sort of an interesting conversation.
Lydia, you said 27% over the past 10 years.
27, yeah, most of it actually last year. Last year was 8.06%.
And that's to your point, what's going on in inflation the last 2 years has really made it a dramatic gap.
Yeah, 2022 was 4.23%, 2023 was 8.6%, and for this year, it's gonna be 4.37%. So most of that 27% was actually captured in 3 years. And obviously, we've all felt that.
Right.
So remaining really prudent about this, I think is an important thing. We need to.
We're gonna have to look really hard. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a tough season.
It's gonna be a really interesting budget season. Okay.
I made a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So let's hope this becomes null and void.
Yeah.
Right. Vanessa?
Okay, so at the last month's meeting, I did a presentation with the results of our CAPI project for greenhouse gas emissions inventory, and then some thinking and some planning around how to meet the theoretical goal. And tonight, what I'd like to do is ask the board to make official our intention to reach a 2030 goal of a 40% reduction in our government operations emissions. Important to note here that the goal is not legally binding. It is really, it's a target for us to aim for. And this will help us, I think, as we try to make decisions and plan for the next 7 years. So I'd like to make a motion to pass the resolution for our 2030 greenhouse gas emissions goals.
Yeah.
Rick got it. So discussion? I just would like to make sure, this note that this does not commit us to make this goal, because we don't know how we're going to get there yet, right? I want to be very clear. We do not know how we're going to meet the goal. It's a goal to strive to meet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
That's it.
and like with the presentation that Vanessa gave last month, you know, it's clear that some of it we can do for small dollars and some of it costs money,
Right.
and given the conversation we just had, yeah. But I think saying that this is a goal that we are going to try and shoot for, I think is an important milestone.
I'll make a quick point. I have a friend who's a lawyer at EDF, he's in Dubai, for the conference, and he told me a couple things. One was, he said any change that we want to do takes a minimum of 10 years. Anything that they want to get done, he figures, if I'm going to start a project to change a law, to get people to change their minds, it takes 10 years. And the other thing he said is that you have to have the goals. And that's actually one of the things that they were talking about. There's some standards and goal setting that they did. So I think it's really important that we have a goal, that we have it written down, we have something to shoot for, and we work to make incremental progress as best we can.
Yeah.
So we have not
It's like we're
adopted
doing a lot of
it.
that lately.
Yeah.
It's a goal. It's not an adoption of meeting.
Right, it's a goal, but it's good to have a goal so we know which way we're going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Martina,
So
there was new
the
addition to the agenda here.
2024 village election is coming up on March 19th, 2024. I just need the board to approve this room at Village Hall, 76 East Market Street, as the polling place from noon until 9 p.m. for the polling hours on that day.
So moved.
Thank you.
Discussion?
Just need a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, Martina, I'm sorry, did you do both dates or just the one? I'm sorry.
Both dates.
Or did you,
The
are you
January
motioning
30th.
for the primary and for the,
No, this is for the
Good.
actual village election. This has nothing to do with the Democratic Committee. You're thinking of two different things.
right,
Right, that's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, this is for the village election, just naming this as the polling place with those polling hours.
okay, thank you. Special requests. That's where I'm going into.
That'll be in this.
Martina, you're still up.
So we've received 2 applications from the Democratic Committee. The first asking to utilize the Village Hall space upstairs for a candidate forum on January 18th. I don't know if you want to do them separately or both together.
I do both together.
And then the second being the use of the Village Hall upstairs space for the Democratic primary election on January 30th.
Do we have the availability for the forum?
The forum, yes. The
So we're
Village
not,
Hall
we're not
is-
having a ZBA meeting that night?
Not that I'm aware of. Ryan gave me the dates in the beginning of the month. He did not say that there was a ZBA meeting.
Great, I'll take it off my calendar.
I make a motion to approve the use of the space by the Democratic Committee for the aforementioned
Uses.
program.
Second. For both
Discussion?
dates?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Martina, defensive driving.
One moment. Who seconded?
Vanessa.
Thank you. Okay, so as part of our insurance review, they've recommended that our employees take some type of driving course. I've reached out. Yes. I've reached
In
out.
general, or the people who drive village trucks?
Any, specifically, the people who've gotten in accidents.
No, okay.
But we don't discriminate, so all of our employees. I've taken it one step further. I've reached out to our insurance company asking if they provide a defensive driving course, which would be a pretty in-depth course. It would be 6 hours, but would also serve a benefit to us and have us covered through our insurance in terms of the requirement that they are asking that we all be updated. But it would also be a benefit to any employee who takes it, as they would be able to then get a percentage off of their car insurance. Again, it would be 6 hours, which there's a couple different options to do that. We could do a weekend, we could do during the week, we could split it into 2 days. I've done a small poll with our employees. They would prefer to do that during the week over the course of 2 days.
During work time?
During work hours.
Yes. Again, it would satisfy our need to do some type of driver responsibility training.
Does the village get a break on it? Does it help our?
Yeah.
Sure.
Help our insurance?
That's a very good question. I haven't gotten that answer yet.
If it doesn't help our insurance, these guys, why are we spending village payroll hours on this?
We have to do some type of training, regardless, which we would have to, they'd have to do it during working hours anyways.
So hold on, so it's reversed. If we don't, then it will cost us more.
Not necessarily.
Then
Could you find
what's
out
there would have to be some mechanism,
Yeah, is
or
there
why
like a
would we have to do
carrot or a
it?
stick? Yeah,
It's either we're gonna get an incentive or we're gonna get hit with a more cost, I would imagine.
So we have to do a course regardless. This is, do you want it to be a defensive driving course that would also benefit?
Well, hold on, or they won't cover us?
Wait, no, it's not
Who's
that they
requiring
won't
the
cover.
training?
Okay.
Our
I'm a little
insurance,
confused.
we do a risk assessment every year.
Yeah.
And our insurance has assessed that we should complete some type of driver safety course.
Oh, our workers' comp insurance?
Correct.
Oh, so this is to ideally keep people out of
Satisfy
using
the
workers' comp.
Correct.
Because of
Okay.
car accidents.
Correct.
Oh, okay, that's helpful.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh, so-
totally prophylactic.
So
we
our
ask
other
about the
insurance,
other-
Nightmare always recommends doing a driver safety, but they offer different courses and they are free. It would still be during working hours. But our workers' comp insurance is recommending that we complete a driver safety course.
And what's the cost?
$35 per person.
And
And
6 hours.
6 hours.
Oof. Well, 6 hours I'd have to do anyways. Well, not necessarily. It depends on,
necessarily.
it depends on what the course is, but the time at work would be.
Well, it is a recommendation. We are not mandated to do this.
This particular one.
It-
I would still be
but-
setting somebody up with some type of training if they choose not to elect this
Correct.
particular one.
If we choose to ignore it, I don't think we should choose to ignore it. I think it's to the benefit of not only us to stay on the good graces of workman comp, but if we can do it to benefit everybody else as well, for the cost of 6 hours spread out over a couple of days. Right.
The idea behind this specific course is that we need.
We'd like our guys to be driving a little better.
Yes. Yes.
People.
Our folks, our employees, our
Yes.
employees
And
driving
this is a
village
very
trucks.
in-depth course.
Got this.
Because I can pull for you the accidents we've had in the last 3 years.
Have you talked to Kyle?
Yes,
Yeah.
he is 100% on board.
Oh, okay.
That's good to know.
That's good.
That's enough for me, actually.
I feel like this is a conversation that I had with my father when I was 19.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Let's ask Neimer if they'll cut us a break somewhere else.
You can.
We can certainly, yeah, I can check with NYMER to see if they'll offer us any type of reduction in our policy if most of
Our
our,
guys
if
do,
our
yeah.
drivers take
Well, that would
off.
be a
Worth the
bonus. I
shot.
don't think that's a
I
requirement.
know the requirement, but it'd be nice to do. Can we take it? Can I?
It would be open to the board.
And then you can get points off your speeding tickets, Rick.
Excellent. Oh,
Right.
I was gonna say not for the camera, right?
It'd be open to any employee because technically any employee,
Would employees who are not driving village vehicles be able to take it by paying $35?
I'm sorry,
So I'm assuming that we're covering the $35 for employees who drive village vehicles.
that is a board decision because
Oh.
technically any village employee can be assigned to drive a village vehicle.
Have you driven a truck, Mark? Lydia?
I have,
There you go.
when I'm watering trees.
That's right, so there you go. Rick, have you driven a truck?
I have.
Yeah,
So,
Okay.
Let's spread the
so
word.
be it.
all right.
See you in class.
Yeah. Apparently, for the first time since I was 19.
All right, I make a motion to approve the redo the defensive driver course for our employees.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Vanessa, do you want to talk more about the EV community grant campaign? We've kind of discussed it a lot.
Well, I wanted to just raise some ideas for our, because we have to decide before April how we're going to spend the $5,000.
I have an idea.
Oh, you do?
This is not first come, first serve.
It has to be for an energy improvement.
It has to be related to either energy efficiency or renewable energy.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Sorry.
do have to, at this point, they said, okay, good job with your campaign. You are eligible for a $5,000 grant, no match required. but you do have to apply, you have to tell them what you're gonna spend it on, and it has to be related to energy.
Got it.
So, couple of ideas. I know we've been talking about bike racks. Some $5,000 could go a long way for bike racks. Also, in the process of talking to folks here about our greenhouse gas emissions, the water plant guys said that the doors over there are super old and leaky and uncomfortable, like it really makes the place drafty. So we could look into getting quotes for that. It would tighten up, the envelope of the building. Other idea, recycling Big Belly at the Lions Mini Park.
Somebody's already doing that though. Already planned for that.
I thought that maybe
under-
that had dropped
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, because we laid out this, the space was laid out and marked. Yeah,
Do we
somebody,
budget for it?
I forget who, but there is a plan for somebody to already do that.
I don't know, we should look into that.
Okay.
For somebody?
Yeah, I don't remember who, but Kyle went over and laid it out.
Okay, but maybe we were just waiting for the funds.
No, this was not us.
Oh, okay. Keep us posted on that then. And then, yeah, just revisiting this idea of starting to transition the highway department's lawn maintenance fleet to something electric.
I was going to ask if we can start the electrification of
Yeah.
light gas engines.
Yeah, and then, again, just spitballing here, but the latest with electric vehicles is $7,500 from the federal government, $2,000 from New York State, plus $5,000. We get $14,500 off the purchase of an electric vehicle if there's, one of our vehicles that we were looking at replacing anytime soon.
No, we don't
Probably
have
not
anything.
this fiscal year.
Not now.
Not now.
No.
Okay.
Not now.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally think we should use it to buy electric backpack leaf blowers and/or chainsaws, which are very, very noisy and used in our
Yeah.
parks. And kind of sets the example for other people that we're being noise conscious as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just my recommendation.
I think I might make that a priority. I mean, because the water plant's the water plant. And
Well, and they're doing so much work down there, I feel like
Right.
the doors could be part of that conversation.
We could reseal the door for nothing.
right, but wouldn't that come out of the water budget?
Yeah.
Oh, right, so you're looking for something that goes into the
I would
general.
go out something out of the
Okay.
general fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think starting to electrify our small
Alright.
equipment, our small machines
Okay.
is a really cool thing to do.
So I'd like to make a motion that we work with our superintendent of public works to, as needed when, not to replace them if they're working good, but
Yeah.
as we need new or their break, to replace them with our backpack leaf blowers and our chainsaws with electric.
Is there a time limit to spend?
Yeah,
do-
I think
do we
we
actually
have to
have to spend it?
spend the money.
By
I'm not sure,
Oh.
but I think it's like within a year.
Oh, listen, we're gonna go through them, we're gonna go through a couple of them in a
Yeah,
year. We're already repairing it.
okay. We could also just, surplus.
And we can also always, Karen was just saying, we can also always surplus the old,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the idea of the leaf blowers.
So what's the motion?
What?
What's the motion?
The motion is to use the $5,000 to replace our current gas-powered leaf blowers and chainsaws.
and like other
Small engines.
We'll
small.
see, yeah, and we'll see how far the $5,000
I don't want to
can
get into
go.
lawnmowers yet. Let's not get there yet.
Yeah, but like whatever else they have there that's
Right, whatever is appropriate.
powered by gas.
Right, that's
Okay.
appropriate.
I don't know, I'll get with Kyle, and maybe he could look up which pieces of equipment are of, the best value at this point and the most
Right.
reasonable.
Okay.
Who seconded? I'll second it.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Done. Okay.
Great, thank you, Vanessa.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from December 12th, 2023.
As amended. Second.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
I'm going to abstain, I didn't have a chance to read it.
Oh.
You're, what did you say?
I didn't have a chance to
All
read
right, so you're not voting.
No worries, I got it.
All right, next on the agenda, vacation buyout.
What? No, trees.
Oh, committees, sent over. Tree Commission, do you have anything
Tree
to say?
Commission wishes everybody a happy and a healthy and a leafy new year.
Fantastic. Perfect.
Oh, Climate Smart.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that I did submit our 2023 Village of Rhinebeck Annual Climate and Sustainability Annual Report. This is the third one that we've done. And if you're looking for a pretty concise review of all the things we've accomplished, take a look. I will post that on the Climate Smart website as well. I also always take this moment to kind of review our progress towards silver certification. And it's looking like what I'll probably need to do is either, probably in July, recertify for bronze. Because with the Climate Smart Communities program, many actions expire over time. And so you're kind of swimming against the current as you try to get into silver. So re-upping with bronze means that we're buying more time with these set of actions to get towards silver. You know, to get to silver, we're going to need to do some big things that will get us a lot of points, and to make a the reason that they get more points is because they make a bigger impact, such as really adopting the comprehensive plan, perhaps doing a community choice aggregation. So those are all things you can see listed there on the chart in the annual report.
So a lot of the stuff that you were talking about with the CAPI stuff, that would all help get us to silver?
Yeah.
Great, okay.
In addition, the Hudson 7 is doing a DWSP2 drinking
Right.
water assessment program. Even though it's being done by the Hudson 7, we're part of it, we get points for that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's a really good example, actually, of a big action. And
If the comp plan is done by July, that gives you points?
yes, yeah, the deadline is early July. So there's,
What's the definition, the question is, what's the definition of done?
I mean, it has to be.
It has to be
adopted.
approved by the village board, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Let's make sure we keep our bronze
yeah.
first.
And one other thing I just wanted to mention, once all the December bills are in, Chrissy's going to be helping me with another round of benchmarking. So again, this is like another way we keep our eyes on our emissions. So benchmarking is like you basically do all the data entry of all your fuel usage, electricity usage for all your buildings. And then you're able to see year over year the usage. So we'll be doing both 22 and 2023, and then we publish those. And then you can also see how we stand up, how we stack up against other municipalities of our size. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Comp plan.
Comp plan's chugging along. They're meeting on Thursday. They're deep into a revised draft. So with any luck, this might all get wrapped up in the next 45 to 6 months.
Time well spent.
Very
All right.
much so.
So we're at that point in the schedule to approve a vacation buyout for employee number 24 for 42 hours. It's been approved through finance. I'd like to make a motion to approve employee number 24 for 42 hours buyout.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 I'd also now like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss current contract negotiations.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to end the executive session.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn our first meeting of 2024.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.